Yeah. That was fun.
We got this shit figured out. Do we do profanity on this channel?
What?
How was your day?
Good. There's people joining.
I know, it's cool you have a following.
No, this is all you guys.
Yeah, good times.
Who is that?
Who's who?
It's Matt.
Hey. All right. So how have you been?
Good. How are you guys? What are you guys doing? You guys are outside. It's nice out.
Yeah, it is nice out. I edited video
What's up, Jason?
like all day.
You know Jason, don't you?
I don't know.
Right there.
What's up?
I thought you
See,
guys knew
right
each
there.
other.
I probably do. What's up, Jason? How you been, Doug? I don't know if I know.
Hi,
I can't
Tamara.
remember.
I'm not sure. Let's see. Another Matt.
What's up, Matt? The same Matt.
So,
I guess there's only a few people joining, but
Well, I did a ton of fun stuff too.
yeah.
what?
Ryan did fun stuff today, too.
I didn't edit anything, but I planted a lot of things. That's fun.
Planned a lot of things. That's good. We'll start talking about your plans.
No, you planted in the ground.
Well, I guess it takes a plan to
Yeah.
plant.
Like a plant,
Yeah.
like Earth.
We'll start there. Yep, that's a good beginning.
There. We will start there. Hold on.
Oh,
I'm adjusting
jeez.
my phone
Good. Let's move it back a little bit.
before it falls off. What's up, Nick? Ed.
We're gonna try to stay in the
That'd be
shot
cool,
and
'cause that'd be cool.
Say
not
what?
fall over.
So what?
What'd you say?
I'm gonna start talking.
Thank you.
So the person to the right is Jeremy Wirth. The person to the left is Rion. Is that how you say your name? I don't even know if that's how you say your last name.
Ryan Noss.
Rion.
How do you say your last name?
Fusillo?
I can never get it right.
Was that a question?
I don't know. It was a question.
It's
We're going to be having a live chat here about life for people that are joining and watching. We're going to embarrass ourselves a lot
Yeah.
part of life.
and talk about Earth, passion. What else are we talking about?
Those are good things.
Good
People.
things, positive,
Yeah.
warmth,
Yeah.
community, nature.
We're outside, dude.
What?
We're outside.
I know, I should
He's so
put it
proud of
outside.
himself.
I feel like I'm out of the loop here. Maybe I can move this whole thing outside.
Well,
Yeah,
shouldn't we
do
all?
it.
Alright. So let's just go.
We're going.
So for those of you that we're going. So for those of you that don't know Jeremy, he's a fellow photographer. So let's just start with you first.
Yeah, let's do it.
For people that don't know who you are, explain yourself. What kind of photos do you do? How long have you been doing it?
Right on.
Stuff like that.
I do commercial work and wedding are like the two industries I play in the most.
Yeah.
But my all-time favorite is just to walk around with the camera. So that's what I fell in
Take
love
pictures
with.
of what?
Anything. I would just walk around. Normally just hanging out with friends, you know, just growing up. And then so in order to hang out with my friends and photograph them, I had to deal with their music a lot. You know, a lot of friends were in bands, so I'd hang out around that scene like you.
Yeah. That's how we met.
Yeah, that is how we met. Who'd you work with first of my friends? God.
I think we met through Brooke and Mighty Fine and Chris and
Yeah. I know that's how we
I think
really
that
got
was-
to know each other, but I think the initial, just all of them. So,
I mean, it was kind of all that group. I mean,
Yeah.
all the bands they've been in.
dude, your work
Is
then
this
was
like
so pivotal. You were making such good work like that. I was like, oh my God, I could never. You always photographed my best friend playing the drums perfectly, and I could never get a shot of him. To this day, I can't get a shot of him.
He's some of my favorite drumming shots were of him ever.
Yeah,
Of
just
all the bands I photographed. I don't know why. I don't
he was really good at practicing like mirror. Like he'd look in the mirror.
Yeah. And he hits on point, so
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
start photography? I don't think we've ever really talked about this.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I really enjoyed running around with my family's point and shoot film camera. It was a little Olympus,
Yeah.
zoomed in and out.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, but film was really expensive, so my parents had to be like, "Yo, you can't do this," because I was like as young as your kid is right now, and maybe a little bit older. Anyways, so I eventually I bought a used digital camera when they started to become a thing,
Yeah.
and then very quickly found my way to film, and that's where in the darkroom, which is what you do now, is like where I really fell in love with it.
That's where it clicked.
Yeah. So I have a lot of film work, and then I eventually, for the sake of money and trying to run a business off of it, was like, okay, I'm gonna put that aside for a second and just
Yeah.
get to work. What up, Ryan? Miss my boy. So, and I've been meaning to talk to him because multiple reasons. I want you guys to talk, you and Ryan. That'd be
Good.
Anyways, so, yeah, start doing it, going to the Alan Hancock, and I was probably like 23 at the time, and just really, really dove into it hard. Was spending like all my time there, and quickly realized, okay, if I stand a chance at having to work really long days, it's gonna have to be toward with like this being the goal, because that's just how your brain functions. So that eventually led into a few recommendations, or being referred to a few people to like watch certain photographers work or go help them work under certain photographers from the area, which introduced me to like the commercial world. And that's where I was like, oh, I like this. I like being able to like solve a problem using the camera.
Yeah. That is a good part about commercial work.
It is. And by the way, I'm really loving your food photos lately.
Thank you.
They're really good.
I have a shoot next week. That's going to be. We were talking about this when we first met, or not when we first met, but when we first all together talked about if I have any more work. And I'm doing some more edible slow stuff.
Dope.
Which is really weird because I thought I wasn't going to work. But they hit me up, and I guess there's some loophole where I'm allowed to do it under media still. It's an essential, which I don't think edible slow is essential, but so it's a loophole that I'm able to use, thankfully.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's all about ice cream.
Yeah, which is important right now.
It really is. It soothes the soul.
I guess.
And I can send you some regulations that my friend Chris Ruzanowski sent me, who I had him film a conversation with, and I put it out there.
I saw that.
And he's a photojournalist, so he's always sending me tips and tricks. And he's also doing one of those projects. His is a little bit darker right now, but he's gonna turn around and hopefully sell it.
Nice.
And I had a really logistical conversation with him the other day about, okay, how would I go do that right now? And he lists it all off, and I'm kind of like, wow, the media isn't exactly the most bright on this subject,
Yeah, no, there's a lot of holes right now.
Yeah.
On trying to figure out what we can and can't do as photographers.
Yeah.
Like, I was told that we can't, but then I was told by other people we can. So there's like a weird, I don't know.
Well, right now, I would say no weddings.
Yeah, well, the weddings definitely, unless it maybe a small elopement or something, but
even then,
kind of pushing
it would be you and them, but you need to travel separately.
Oh, it'd be totally.
Yeah, because elopement usually is an excuse for me to run around Big Sur,
Yeah.
So they'd have to follow. But if you wear a mask and gloves and you're wiping everything down, like I wipe my gear down before and after every time.
Yeah.
I use it.
Yeah, there's precautions.
Yeah, there's definitely precautions. But I think it kind of comes with the trade being a little bit, I don't know what the right word is, but we have to. We're the documenters. What are we supposed to go do? You know?
We're supposed to do something.
Yeah, like I'm staying inside as much as I can. I'm trying to get a lot of editing done, both photo and video, and then, still meet up with certain people to create stuff. But besides that,
What?
besides that, I just try to keep everything real low.
Yeah.
You know.
So with the wedding industry, are you basically at a halt?
Yeah, actually, only one of my clients has actually canceled. But I'm seeing them drop like flies, and that whole industry right now is
Weird.
and that's fine, right? I'm cool with it for a second. I'm like, dude, just shut it down. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. We don't need to be posting right now about. I don't need to be posting my past brides right now, making my future brides and future brides not feel good. So I want to help encourage people to be posting the right things right now.
Yeah, that's good.
So a lot of that is the office memes. A whole lot of office memes are perfect right now. Because
I mean, memes are pretty important.
Yeah.
Right now.
I think we talked about that. So I've known Ryan for 10 years.
Woo!
Yeah.
And I really wanted him to start talking to a lot of people I knew. So I started sticking a camera in people's faces and recording it. And you were
following him around.
Yeah. I mean, not like really following yet, But yeah, it could very much go down. We're going to need more people.
How did you guys meet? How did you guys actually meet?
I'm going to let you answer that one. I'm going to check cameras.
I think I met him when he was moving back. Hey, everybody. How real do I get to be?
Oh, okay. If we're going to get super real, Ryan was basically a therapist for my brother who has since passed away, who had a very unique life. It caused a lot of stress.
We don't need to go down
Okay, you said
those
deep.
paths, but...
There's 4 people. I'm saying...
Whoa, 4? Yes! Let's tell all the secrets.
Oh, it's a boat.
Let's get down and gritty here.
So he helped my brother through a lot, and then my brother passed away, and that's that. So we've always been hanging out.
So that's how you know each other. All right.
Yeah. Now you can take over.
So
and
Ryan, I think you're taking over.
That's what I do.
Where do you come in this picture? What do you do? What are you?
You guys are so funny.
What do you do for work? What's your passion?
Oh man, those are very... See, the nice part is that I've been able to line up those words so they almost mean the same thing.
That's
That
good.
makes,
That's
yeah,
important.
it's really important. So what do? I try to be as active as possible, nurturing different relationships. Okay?
Okay.
But taking it to more than just a conversation and making it literal as well. So like even today I was at a small school that of course is closed, but it's still springtime, and no matter when the kids come back to school, it'd be nice to have flowers in the garden. But you gotta plant them. And so today, with good social distancing, I helped plant like 15 different species of sunflowers that are everything from 2 feet tall with big, giant, beautiful heads to 12 feet tall with giant monsters. And the reality is no matter when school starts back up, you have to plant the seeds now.
Yeah, so that way they'll be there.
Exactly. And so I've been working with that school for years, probably 15 years now. Been working with other people in the community for a big stretch of time. And it really is just trying to find those different perspectives and help people see how, but if I do this right now, it's gonna save me a ton of time, effort, and energy, and usually money. And that's how I pay bills.
Yeah. What got you into plant life and growing and all that good stuff? Like, where did it stem from?
Good job, STEM.
Yeah, right? There, yeah.
Actually, I used to teach survival classes, like straight up hunter-gatherers for years, for decades, but plants don't run very fast, and so they're much easier to collect. And so that's always been a strong part of a knowledge of place, is to understand what's growing, because that's the plant that is going to be there when the power goes out or whatever, because it's there before the power got put in. You know, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And so just that, exactly, and so that knowledge of place has just really been a huge part of everywhere I go, because it helps me be more comfortable wherever I'm at. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So what are you, I mean, I know you and Jeremy have been working on like
Hey, Tara.
video stuff, what you're doing, but what are you doing right now at this present moment?
I'm sitting in my backyard on a picnic bench.
Now, but I meant with your knowledge and stuff, what are you trying to do, or what are you doing right now because of what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that things are in a big transition right now, because nobody has a clue what's going on or where it will end up. We all kind of have an idea of what's going on, but just as like, is this going to take a month? Well, then I need to plan this way. But the reality is that number is unknown. And so it's very hard. And so lately I've been working with different industry spokespeople, leaders, to try to grasp how that specific industry is handling this transition, and offering encouragement and helping to maybe show other options, so that they, in areas where they're like, well, we didn't think of that, well, somebody else has and is helping. You know, the team's much bigger than people realize.
Yeah, I can see that. So are you mainly working, I know you said you're working as a team, but do you work alone mainly, or do you have like a group of, how does that work?
That's a good question.
Is it kind of just sometimes alone, sometimes not?
A lot of it is a conversation. You know, if you're really wanting to help people and work with them, then there's got to be some face-to-face, some heart-to-heart, you know, those kind of conversations. Because if it's a company or an individual and they're still struggling with a problem we've had this problem for years, that literally means nobody sees what's really going on. And so you need that outside perspective that doesn't know the history, doesn't know the drama, so that those questions can be asked. And once those questions are out in the open, then they, most of the time, will answer the questions for themselves. And at that point, it's easy. Because we just forgot this puzzle piece or whatever it might be, and then, you know, you can move forward. But it's kind of a guiding experience for them to feel like the actual problems that they're needing to deal with are being addressed.
Okay.
So some of that happens over the phone, of course.
Yeah. Do you have a lot, are you doing it a lot right now? Like over the phone or virtually and stuff? Is that all you do?
So I'm very grateful for Bluetooth and the ability to go get work done outside while having these conversations a lot of times. So that's it's really important, because I still have, you know, my garden and the community that I work with and live in, and property and trees and people to take care of.
No, I'm waiting.
And so that's all part of it, you know. Fortunate to have 4 generations within a couple hundred yards living with each other. So my children and even my wife's grandmother nearby. So it's a lot of people, good people time.
Yeah, that's good. Is your garden, you mentioned garden, is it only sustaining you guys, or does it sustain other people? Is it kind of just like for friends and everything, or?
Well, that's a good question. What does sustain mean, and what does friend mean?
I don't know how big your garden is, so.
My garden's not big enough. I still want to feed more people, so that makes it easier. So it just depends, you know. Some of it's seasonal. The reality that one plant has its heyday at a different time, and this is part of working with nature and nature's rhythms, because you could go out there and eat everything, but then there's going to be nothing to grow. And if there's nothing to grow, then you're not going to have anything for the next 10 months. You see what I mean? And that's part of the importance of practice. You know, it's the same reason why everybody freaked out and there was a rush on toilet paper, because everybody went at one time, nothing was left over, people got weird about it. You can find toilet paper. Relax. I saw this great video of a dad breaking down the math. Did you see that one? It's so great.
No.
Dude, it's so awesome. It's this dad breaking down the math of how many poops, how many wipes, right? And it's like, for you to burn through one of these crates, you would have to have 112,000 craps, right? And just for you to have perspective, that's 100 craps per day for the next blah, 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 10 years, some ridiculousness. But it was the math that created the perspective, right? That you go, wait a minute, that's impossible. I would have to be dying of some intestinal illness, you know? Oh, it's so crazy.
Yeah, that was a weird reaction. But I feel like that's our culture in America.
It is.
Other countries aren't dealing with the toilet paper.
We have societal IBS.
Yeah.
Everybody's running for the paper. Dude, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. Is Jeremy, did he disappear? He's not even in there.
He has the documented wanderlust.
So let's talk about what you guys are doing together. You guys interviewed me doing kind of like a video podcast.
Right. Well, that's a conversation that was there's Jeremy. That conversation was just really important for us to really bridge some gaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe not even a bridge, maybe more like a ladder, right? You know, to really establish who's working with who has their head on straight versus kind of running around like a chicken little, you know.
Yeah.
And that's really important when people aren't sure what's going on, is to find the people who are communicating with confidence. Yeah. How many people have you guys talked to about it yet? Oh, I talk to everybody all the time.
Well, I mean, as far as what you guys are doing together, as far as videotaping and recording.
There's you. There's Cameron, who's a farming, or you explain that one. Who's a student.
We have multiple ones.
Yeah.
But really, we're actually open for a lot of conversations too. And the nice part about the social distancing is a lot of this can happen just over the phone, and it just be a recording, so you don't even have to worry about what you look like or whatever. But that perspective from these other industries or other, I about peed my pants. I was laughing so bad because you think you've thought everything through, and then you go, but wait a minute, what about the shopping mall jewelry store clerk? That industry has been decimated, right? And so you think about it from a whole other perspective, and you're just like, God, we got to help the shopping mall clerks too. So that's right.
I was thinking about how much the wedding industry is taking a hit and all the different roads it was going down. And then I went into weird zombie, did they empty out the mall? You know?
The malls. Beware the malls.
The malls that have to be closed, right?
Or the candy shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man.
You know which one you want to know what a business I thought of? You know, when you go to major cities and there's street performers and everything?
Yeah,
Or
right? Now everybody's throwing their change at them.
They're all screwed too. Are they still walking the streets trying to get pictures, or?
Yeah. No, it goes deep.
Oh, Dylan joined.
Yeah.
Dude, if I was a street performer in New York or anywhere else, I would have a pole that would have a picture frame. And you could just stand there, and then I'll smile, and it'd be a perfect photo bomb, and you could put money at the end of the pole.
Did
Right?
Did you see that?
Make it work.
I shared it. The office backdrop for Zoom calls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
On my personal one, I
Good question.
shared it in a story. It's awesome.
All right.
I'm saying hello. I don't know if you guys know them.
Oh, that's Bronwyn. Hello there.
There you go.
We need to connect. So, I have another good question because a lot of people are inside the house watching boxes and screens. What is your favorite zombie movie?
Zombie movie?
Yes. Mine is Shaun of the Dead. Be warned.
28 Days Later.
Okay. All right. I can go with that. Where are you going? I could see that.
Like a fun mood.
Well,
Having
see,
a
that's
fun
the deal.
mood?
Very different type of zombie movie, right?
That's not a zombie.
Well, see,
All right.
I've had...
Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead. The original Dawn of the Dead.
Okay. Yeah, but did you watch it when you were like 4 years old? Or...
No, I'm a very big horror buff.
Okay.
I have like all the zombie movies. I really like Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the
I
Dead.
watched it when I was younger, and I just watched it about a week ago.
Well, see, were you preparing for the coronavirus?
Yeah, that was all coronavirus prep. Yeah, I've been watching all the zombie movies so I could learn how to survive, just in case.
Oh, Lord. See? There you go.
Told you.
And you should get a pitchfork, and then you could help build a garden at the same time and fend yourself off the zombies.
Yeah, so whoever's joining, you're gonna learn how to kill zombies and have a garden.
It's one and the same. It's a multi-tool.
Someone's asking, where did I get a copy? I had a copy. You guys, he probably knows what it's talking about. But Dawn of the Dead got, they're
So
not.
we're interacting with live people.
Yeah.
What do you call when a freaking DVD isn't sold anymore?
It's not sold anymore.
Yeah, well, there's a name for it, but you can't buy them anywhere unless if you want to spend like $100 for a DVD.
They're not in
I
rotation.
got my copy before that happened. Someone sold the rights and he never brought them back.
There you go.
Someone was asking.
Dude,
I don't know who that is.
that's
but
like
someone
Zombie Lord.
discontinued.
Discontinued. This is the survivalist. Oh, I love it.
I think
That's
we
right.
should talk about some survival.
Dude, I love the fact that in Shaun of the Dead, they use LPs as straight up battle weapons. Well, you know, when in doubt,
That was
whip it out.
That's a really good. What was your favorite zombie movie?
For fun, Zombieland. For fun.
That one I do have to, it has merits. I haven't seen the second one.
There's a lot of good zombie killing tips in that movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love watching zombie movies, but I always feel left like you guys could have done better.
More Bill Murray.
Yeah, more Bill Murray.
More
for
Bill
sure.
Murray.
However, I love The Last of Us, and I'm kind of like, let's play The Last of Us right now.
Oh, the video game?
I never.
That's not a
played that.
movie.
Yeah,
You buzzed me about that a long time ago.
yeah, I'm gonna preach that one forever. We should probably not talk about it right now. It's pretty real. It's kind of real.
This is not the talk for a video game.
Yeah, we're not going there. So yeah, that's it. I don't
It's
really have
kinda
a
fun.
favorite one.
I like the National Geographic's ones where the little ants are taken over by the little zombie fungus and stuff like that, and then like walks them up.
Like the real ones. Yeah.
Dude, crazy.
Right?
No, for reals. Pufferfish to tetrotoxin. I think that's how you say it.
We should go camping after we're allowed to.
We're not allowed to go camping anymore? What? This is America. More cowbell indeed. I agree.
I just want to, just hang out in the wilderness with you, Richard.
Well, we're kind of doing it right now. There's a nice tree behind you guys and wind.
You want to come camping in my backyard?
Jeremy just wants to cuddle with me.
I guess
We'll
so.
do that.
Yeah. I'm hoping the beards will stick like Velcro.
Velcro?
Yeah.
Dang.
Anyways, it was good seeing you the other day, and I really enjoyed having our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing opens hard. Immediately, you're like,
I didn't realize you had the camera rolling,
Yeah,
and it sounds like we're like in the middle of like a
I know.
huge like shutdown. Like
It's the only
on
good
the
spot. I was
phone.
like, well, I can't. I'd start right here.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The podcast episode. It starts with
Did you
him
not
reading.
even watch? He's not
Oh
even
no, I
He's
did.
not watching it
I
yet.
wasn't fazed by that.
Yeah.
That was just a little noise. We were literally smack dab in the middle of a road.
Yeah,
There were no people there, but it still was in the middle of the road.
yeah,
That happened right before the mandatory shelter at home too,
yeah,
didn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
I'm finding now that more people are realizing how little space they need at home.
That is true. My dog is knocking shit over.
See? And then the animals themselves are telling us, we went out of the box.
How is the dog?
Yeah. The dog.
Dog's fine.
The dogs are good. I have 2 dogs. I don't know if you know that now.
We're learning.
What'd you get?
You didn't know.
Thanks. So if anybody has any questions, they can feed them out, or we can talk about the beautiful randomness that is life.
Go outside.
Somebody send us a heart.
Out.
Right on.
Sorry.
So,
Out.
Richard, how else have
Ask
you?
me something.
How else have you been adapting right now? I wanna know more because we're gonna realistically need to figure out how to make money.
But he's going to take pictures of
Well,
food.
Yeah, take pictures of food in your studio at home. Too bad I can't style food, so I can't do that. But I started developing film for people.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I already have a few people actually hitting me up and sending me film, which is cool. It's not a lot of money. It's honest work, you know.
I just got an idea.
Other than that, what have I been doing? I haven't really done a lot of business work.
There's a lot just to take care of.
You want to see what I
Yeah.
did today?
You have kids, right?
Okay.
There's a lot
I
of
have
juggling
one.
that's
Yeah.
now having to happen.
Yeah. Did you just say you want to see something?
I was gonna show you a video like this, but then I figured out it was lame.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd be able. I don't know if that would work.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later.
What have you been doing?
The
Selfies?
To make money?
just
Yeah.
self nudes.
Nude?
Yeah.
Did you start an only fan page?
Yep. Just me.
Just you?
Yeah.
It's called the mirror.
I'm actually trying to keep somewhat of a routine. Like I ride my bike
Yeah.
like as much as I can. I go on many walks as I can. I cook a lot, and I trying to wrap up all the projects that need to be wrapped up, and there's still some that can be continued. Big ones too, so that's good. Solving some really rad problems. So,
Nice.
I'm more than happy to dive into that if you want to, but
Go for it. Let's do it.
we've been helping the electrician apprenticeship that Chris went through.
Okay.
I've been hanging out and helping them for a while, and they love everything they've seen.
Nice.
So me and Nick have been the guy I do everything with. We've been we've been having some hangout sessions with them, and we went and filmed interviews probably like March 10th or 11th, March 11th. And I remember everybody started to shift real hard that day.
Yeah, that was a shift.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa. I kind of had to guide him through it for a second. And, and I'm not joking. There was like 10 bottles of Purell around us already because they were restocking everything. And I was like, cool, I get it. Wash your hands, but don't freak out right now.
Yeah.
You
Please
know?
don't freak out on. Have you been doing? Is it mainly video work, or do you do photo? What is it?
Yeah, so the video work has really been what's the main focus because I'm just using cameras as tools to communicate. So it's commercial work, but it's just making sure we can solve a bigger problem. A few different people have these types of practices that you kind of follow, some entrepreneurs that you're like, I use his method on that and it works well for me. I use his method on that. So there's some few local people who I could love to give a shout out to who have helped me learn how to use video as a tool to solve big problems for businesses.
Nice.
You know,
So shout them out.
yeah, that's Nick Koyama, Nick Winery, Jeff Henderson, Jeff and Friends. These are all people
Boom,
that
boom, boom.
I'm already. You'll know if you follow me because I shout out so much. You know, and
Yeah,
then,
you're a shatter-outer.
yeah.
Shouter outer.
Chris Ruzanowski, you know, I'm more just like, these are my homies. They've been the homies since day one. They're the best at what they do, like you. You know, how many times have I referred you out for a job over me, especially in the music world?
I've done a lot of video referrals to you. I don't know if they get to you, but
Oh no, I normally like don't get those.
Yeah, but that's business.
So that's because Casey's here, our boy. You know.
he doesn't do commercial work though.
No, he doesn't do commercial work. No. I have 3 big clients that I strategically went and got to make sure I could I want to show up like being like, hey, I'm here to play hardball, because we're asking for a big chunk of money. Because not only does it take a big chunk of money to make it, it takes a big chunk of money to get it in front of the right people.
That's true.
Because that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people have to justify. There's no justification, right? If that's what it costs, because that's what it costs for a quality anything, like I'm trying to teach this to my kids. Like, if you have to have this, how much does it cost? It doesn't matter. Now, if you walk up there and it's 100 times what you thought you'd be paying for it, then you laugh and you walk off. But the reality is you guys are providing an amazing service and tool that is downplayed mostly because everybody thinks they can do it with the thing in their pocket.
I mean, that's something me and Jeremy both agree with.
Yeah, like I told a client, somebody was trying to get me to like work for them, and I was like, have your iPhone do it. You don't need me. Because I wasn't, they wanted me to solve the problem of the video quality. The video quality doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter at all. We just all
It does, but not for what they're wanting.
It's all decent now, so it really
That's
doesn't
true.
matter. Like,
Yeah, now we're
On that
not going to
respect.
go watch movies like this, you know, and there's TV, and then there's quality work. Like, I do have a camera set up back here, and I do have him mic'd. Your boy.
Yeah.
You know, because this is it's a mixture of content, and I can't even believe I say the words content now because I fell in love with the darkroom, but we're dealing with a different animal right now.
Yeah, I mean, content it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is that the wrong word?
I'm just throwing a fit from photo days, being like, no, they're photographs. No, dude, we just need information.
It's content.
Yeah, it's content. It's content.
We just need content for our company.
Yeah.
What if it's context?
Context. That would be nice if someone said it like that.
That's kind of how I feel it. Well, I mean, if all you had is a picture, the old saying is it's worth 1,000 words, right? The problem is most people are illiterate, and so then it doesn't even matter, right? So with our world that we live in now, I'd love to shake everybody's hand and give me a little bit of time, maybe even give you a hug, right? Especially with this coronavirus thing going on. But most people aren't able to interact on that level and may never be able to for their own vulnerability issues that will develop because of this. But they can watch a video and feel like they're participating in some form of conversation that allows you to make a connection. Because exactly, and so it gives some context, you know, for not only who you are, but what you're trying to do.
I agree with that.
You don't have
People
to.
need to use that word more than content.
Well, I mean, I think that would be the differentiation between what some people put out. Some people maybe are just putting out content with no context.
Well, some people do just put out content for the void.
For the void, just to fill the void.
I just want to see.
It is a void now.
Wow. Yeah. It's a different way to look at it.
There's a influencer named Nathaniel Drew who's really big, and he just posted. He was in Italy when it all and he just posted a video about boredom, about how long the generations have been fighting boredom when really sometimes just sit down and relax,
Yeah.
So it's a good,
Yeah.
And even using the word influencer and showing Ryan a YouTuber is unique, because there's 10 years difference,
Yeah.
but like, if you want me to tell people what you're saying, I have to, here's what they're saying,
Or how they're
That's
saying
the
it.
job, though.
Yeah. Or how they're saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really
That's where our job's important.
It
Yeah.
really is. No, that's where when people, you're talking about boredom, but you're then talking earlier about going out and taking pictures of food. Like, there's also a reality of when you went shopping for your parents, they don't eat the same way, and so you're trying to create a context for flavor and life and vitality and vibrancy that most people don't have right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a really important
what is it like shopping
opportunity.
for other people like that?
Well, my parents definitely don't eat on they're more of my friend said the American way.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Which is very white bread and
Oh, I know it.
soup and so that was.
I don't.
that's
What
no
else?
different than me.
So white bread, soup.
They got white broth, not even soup. They got chicken broth, which goes in anything that's
Okay.
American. Lettuce, but not good lettuce, just iceberg lettuce.
Good lettuce.
They
You're so
all-
judgy even about the lettuce.
There's a lot of judging for iceberg lettuce. I'm sorry.
It's true. It's true. If you gave me iceberg,
I
lettuce,
love
you'd
it.
do
I
I love it.
Lettuce in a grocery store.
Yeah.
Don't.
Why do you go for iceberg and not romaine? Or let's see what else did. It was all. My dad wanted goldfish.
Like the cracker?
Nah, Cheez-Its,
Yes.
bro.
No, wait, goldfish, man. Doo 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 doo. Right? You got to make isolation fun. He may have some weird thing that your mom does with those goldfish that you just don't want to know about, but he's like, boy, just bring me home some goldfish. It's going to be a long isolation.
That's true. I'm dealing with my parents.
You guys,
They're like,
people-
I don't know what to do.
help me!
I'm like, you're on your own, dude. I'm out.
Dude, you literally could silence an entire generation by putting little Chinese finger cuffs on people right now. Like, they don't
that's
know
a
how to
good
communicate without their... Look, he even doesn't know how to do it. It's true,
I'm checking this camera.
right? You seriously just go like this and everybody'd be stuck. Ah!
We'd be screwed. We would be totally screwed.
That's an important reality check. See, you thought we were vulnerable to a virus? No, the Chinese finger cuff. That right there is our Achilles heel. Beware. It doesn't matter if you're a Samsung or iPhone user. It's the
It'll wipe the planet out.
It's the dun dun dun. Dude, that's another fun shirt idea.
Right?
Finger cuff like Godzilla.
So, my attempts to get him talking, to get the right people talking, has been videotaping some, soil stuff that he does, and you can find those on his
I like soil.
Instagram.
It's important.
Let's talk about soil.
Yeah, let's talk about soil.
Let's talk about soil.
I'm gonna step out of frame for this one if that's cool.
Why? Why do you want to talk? It's only where everything starts and grows from. Jeez,
I
the
think
foundation.
It's important for people that follow me to learn about soil.
You know why it's important? Because most people think it's a dirty four-letter word.
That is true.
But it's not. It's spelled different. So dirt literally is dead, which is what people like. We call it sterilized. But soil is literally the minerals plus the life. And so it's really all about growing with life, because there's some component of an ecosystem which actually wants your plants to grow more than you do. Because the plant becomes the one who gets to determine how it grows. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you don't have to use any poisons or pesticides, no fertilizers, no. Like literally there's a bacteria that sucks nitrogen out of air.
Since we're talking about it and we both know some information about it, what's your definition
Dun, dun,
of
dun.
modern sustainability? Not in our eyes, but what's the problem of what people think it is?
Well, first of all, I'm not even sure what you asked.
You
So,
hear me?
so now we should start with the question. So what is my perspective on what other people think sustainable agriculture is?
Yes.
You're gonna have to ask them. I think
Sustainable it's a broad term, and I want to.
I think that that's part of the problem, is that the terms, nobody actually knows what they mean. And then when we realize that what they means something different to us as people versus politics and legalese, you know. And then when you realize there's entire industries behind certain products, there's a lot of layers. But as a definition, sustainable isn't the goal. Sustainable just means a perpetuation of the same, which I think we can all agree that we don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so terms like regenerative are now being used, where
Which to me is a way more important term.
it really is, and it's more accurate, honestly, because it's not just a all or nothing. It's part of the progression, but also a change of practice. Does that make sense?
I mean, with right practice, our soil's just going to get better and better.
Oh, it literally does. No, and it doesn't take thousands of years. It doesn't take hundreds of years.
No,
it doesn't even take 1 year in some situations, because the life, this is just what they do, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's craving. So.
And it just wants an opportunity. And so at that point, the easiest way for us to allow for that is to just not kill it.
Yeah.
And so then that's the change of practice of a lack of fertilizer, a lack of pesticides, lack of fungicides. All those things are literally like suicides. They just mean killing, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was explaining it today at the school that I was at, that if we change how the biology in the soil is, that the plants that are growing here right now won't want to grow anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
They literally, they don't like it. They're opportunists. They don't care about anybody but themselves. They have no root really, and it's just one massive seed producer. We mostly call those weeds, right? Yeah. So you cannot have any weeds in your garden because you literally just don't have a garden weeds want to grow in. So why would you need to kill them at that point? You know, so it changes. It's kind of the cart before the horse in some ways, because you're growing soil and that ecosystem, and then everything wants to grow out of that. It's pretty sweet. So regenerative is a much more accurate term to not just what's happening in the soil or on the planet, but also the purpose behind why you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work with more farms. And the project we kind of talked about, a lot of the farming and ranching I work with are trying to do regenerative, or are.
Right. Well, I mean, it's still an effort, and this is where the terminology isn't clear, and so people aren't sure where to put their efforts and energy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I work with a microscope company because you want to know the easiest way to tell if it's alive or dead? Look at it. That's how easy it is, right? Because you just have to have that right tool. And from our perspective, macro level, looking down at a field, it looks like dirt. And it may be dirt, but remember, dirt is dead, so that's not a good thing. It just is letting us know where we're at. But depending on how they've treated that soil, it could be actually more alive than you realize.
Yeah, than what's on the top.
And so if you have the right tools, that all you need to literally see is the right tool to see, at that point you can make really clear and informed decisions that before you would have just grabbed a bottle and sprayed it, you know. And so it allows you to really be proactive versus just always reactive. And I find that with any person who grows anything, because it really is just an aspect of having that tool to create that different perspective. So I mean,
important. So
well, it's funny because I changed a lot of tool use. I bought a microscope, and because I bought a microscope, I no longer use my shovels. I no longer use all these other tools, because I can now see in a very real way how those tools affect the life.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, because every scoop could kill something or move something.
Oh, it does. Yeah, and we know it, you know, but now, and that's where the choices come in. And so instead of using, say, a shovel in the garden, which is a guillotine, right?
Yeah.
I work really hard to provide an ecosystem for my worms to grow in. Some are, 8 inches long, and so I don't want to cut them in half. And so by using a cultivator fork and a pitchfork, I've literally just been able to lift out chunks, right? Which is what I'm trying to do, remove the material, but I've kept all the life intact, you know? And so it didn't cost me any extra energy. And if anything, it saves me long-term, because I have more little teammates working out there 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, you have more to work with,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a cool perspective.
Yeah, it is, it's part of that shift, just that, I don't want anything to die out there. I've killed enough stuff in my life, and if it's necessary, you have to cull and prune and move these and move that in the garden too.
Yeah.
But there's a reality that if I don't have to, then why do it?
There's someone asking you a question.
Sure.
Can you see that?
Can worms grow back if they're severed in half? A worm can regrow its tail, right? Which is the part past the saddle, that hump. It's called a saddle, like a horse. But it doesn't grow two worms. So really what you've done is cut its leg off type of thing, and it just grew its leg back. So it's not a worm multiplier trick. So don't do that. No, it's not. The cool part about it, worms already have, see, this is the cool part. Worms already have their own cool multiplier trick. This is what people don't understand. So they're hermaphroditic, so they're both males and females. When they have sex with each other, they're literally both getting pregnant. And when they have a cocoon, which kind of looks like a little egg, kind of like a sesame seed, inside that cocoon, they could have, 8 to 12 babies inside. So it's not a 1-for-1. It's not even both get pregnant, both have a baby. It's they both get pregnant and they could both have up to 8 to 12 babies inside each one of those cocoons, right? So it's straight up exponential growth, and give it a couple months, they get bigger, they start breeding themselves. You just have to feed that ecosystem. So, and then everything they poop is like plant superfood.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
So.
Yeah.
Cool question though. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Any other ones?
Jeremy go.
Right, dude, I'm filming.
He's the documenter. He's using his phone.
Yeah, I'm getting cool angles for him so that he can put it.
His phone, he's taking, oh my god.
So.
You're not even getting my angle though? My angle's not, you're not even here.
I've got you, dog.
Hey, social distancing.
See?
Oh, what's up, Mark? Look, Mark joined.
I know, I saw him.
Yeah.
How are you, Mark?
Do you have any questions for me?
I want to know more about your farming project.
What about it?
Well, I think you guys should. I think we should get you guys in a situation together.
don't
Not
know.
your project. Your project's your project.
Richard needs to be on a green screen in street background.
We're gonna need some fucking tigers.
Tigers. See, I think this pandemic was what was needed for the majority of Americans to realize that real world is weirder than what they see on TV. And the Tiger King has helped with all of that.
That's true.
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
some weird stuff.
So Richard, I would love to actually connect with some of the people with your farm project, just because that's part of that community and outreach and networking. Plus the knowledge that those individuals have plants that are going to be needing someone to eat them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if the marketplaces have shifted, they still need to be able to move their produce. And you notice I didn't say product, it's a produce.
Yeah, luckily a lot of the farmers that I'm working with and know are still producing. Well, they're always going to be producing, you know that. They're still selling at the stores like the Slo Co-op and a bunch of natural food stores, and there's the smaller farmers markets that are still happening around here.
Yeah.
You guys are like cutting out or something, but
Jeremy's
they're
recording.
doing okay.
So I actually went to multiple shops. This part of me being out and seeing what's going on. There's plenty. Go buy food. You know, look into your fruits and vegetables. Yeah. You know.
I mean, they can't stop. So yeah, there's no shortage, especially in America, for food.
So what do you think the true shortages are?
The true shortage?
Yeah, because I don't think it's toilet paper either.
I think I know the mask thing is definitely important.
No. I'm not meaning that, because those are all items, right?
We're talking about okay.
You know, is it confidence or comfortability, or is it, you know, you had talked earlier about boredom.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are starting to cure boredom at this point.
Shortage is humanity. Who's Kovac?
Yeah. Actually, Nick, I think humanity might be it might be not as short as we think it is. I'm trying to think.
I'm curious to know.
Lacking right now, but it's starting to happen is support for each other.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Everybody's talking about supporting the kids and everything through all the schooling and all that, and there's a bunch of free programs, but maybe not for. What about the support for adults that need it and parents?
It's hard to get the support when everybody's isolated.
I was talking. I think there's a lot of things that we don't think about, and one of the big things that I didn't really think about until recently, because this pandemic, we're going to kind of go negative, but there's a lot more domestic abuse happening. So I feel like there needs to be more outreach for that right now. I don't even know if you guys could hear me.
Oh yeah, we got.
I can. That was me, my thinking face.
I don't know. Yeah, what do you think? Shortage wise.
I think we should think of it from how much do we already have. And from that perspective, you realize that some people it's not having anybody to call, right?
Yeah.
Or in a situation of illness, it's, hey, everybody's going to get this thing, either this year or next year. That's why they're making vaccines. You know, this is just part of it. But if I get laid up for reals for 3 days, do I have anybody to wipe the vomit from my mouth? I'll survive. Oh, you stinker.
Keep going, I got you right here.
I'll survive. But the reality is, it'd still be nice to have somebody I could call. And technology thwarts us at times.
Take a hit.
Oh, that is nice. And making this work this time, in this position, next time we would need to move this and like, just for my own balance.
Okay. Yeah.
Ding.
Connection.
I can hear you.
So where'd you lose me, Richard?
He's not. It's not working yet. Okay.
Hey, there you are. So where'd you lose me? Or where was I lost?
Well, we're not live anymore.
Ah, we should be live.
Okay. Go back to live, Richard.
You left. Well, it's been an hour. Oh, I need to connect with them. We actually need to wrap it up. So I gotta go up to the garden and it's already 6.
Cool. Let's head you over to the garden, and we'll talk on your way up there.
Sure. You wanna?
Huh?
I said you wanna?
Or you can keep it on. Just go ahead and keep it on, actually.
I
Okay. Hold on. Come back.
No, I'll be right back.
All right.
I'll be right back. Hey, beautiful. We're gonna walk up to the garden and then I'll be back in a little bit. Yay!
Yeah. Well, we got 7, dog. We got 7.
Woohoo!
So somebody wanted to know more about worm poop and saving us through this apocalypse, so I sent them to your link in your bio. See how I did that?
Well done.
Yeah.
Yay, worm poop.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn this camera back on.
So, do you have other questions? Or is the worm poop person here still here?
Does anybody have questions to Ryan about what's going on with worm poop?
Or nature, period? So, actually, worm poop's really cool because the digestive system of a worm is one of the only... What?
I was just saying hi.
Oh.
It's what us millennials do.
Hi. Is one of the only like bioreactors that produces something antipathogenic, which means there's no bad guys after it goes to the inside of a worm. Does that make sense?
That's it. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's like literally their stuff is the most perfect plant-ready nutrition, and because of how they burrow through the ground, those are the air and water passages that the plants use for the path of least resistance to make their growth easier. So, shout out to the worms.
Nice.
Dude, my 5-year-old and 7-year-old, we go on worm rescue missions when it rains.
Uh-huh.
It's really just an excuse to run around in the rain and go to like public parks and collect worms off basketball courts.
put them back.
And then, well, forget that, dude. Those guys were goners. We take them to our garden and feed our soil.
That's a good idea. Everybody should start foraging their worms.
Wow. Feed that soil. The worms will come. Exponential growth.
What could we do right now with all this extra time on our hands with the seasons and a garden right now?
Worms are good. We're talking about earthworms and red wigglers, things like that. Snails, not so much. They're kind of like little buggy cows that straight up eat your plants. For reals, man. You gotta watch out for those snails.
Yeah.
For reals, and if you were in Florida, they've got this thing called a South African giant snail, something like that. I kid you not, the thing is a foot long and it'll eat your iceberg lettuce. That might be the only thing iceberg lettuce is good for.
Maybe that'll be the only good thing for my parents when it goes into survival mode.
Forget your pet rabbit, you have a giant snail. Dude, for reals. They're an invasive species. You like walking through the woods with your sweetheart and you look over and there's a thing bigger than your head mowing down some iceberg wedge. So crazy. Buggy cows, got it. Yeah, so if you want to eat your plant, don't let other things eat your plants. Oh, I think we lost reception.
Yeah.
Oh, it's back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you guys cutting out again?
Probably, but we're good.
Oh, you're back.
We're back.
It's better than eating iceberg, honestly.
Never-ending story? What about the never?
It'd be better on eating the snail than the iceberg lettuce.
Right? More nutrition.
What were you saying, Jeremy? What
Dude,
was your
yeah,
question?
the
You were,
snails,
like,
I
coming
love
up
that
with
never-ending
something
story.
about
I don't know who that person is, but
What could you do right now in the garden? Or how would you start a garden right now with all this extra time on your hands at home with what you have? Like
me?
what? Not you, just I'm asking
yeah, I don't
him.
know. Who are you talking about?
You.
I don't have
People.
I don't have to start one. I already have one. Oh, so
But I
now
don't have one, so it's like, do I
What
turn?
about if no one has any seeds or anything? What do you suggest they do?
Yeah.
you talk to people who have seeds.
Right?
What do you mean you talk to
Dude,
people
no,
who
here's
have
the funny
seeds?
part. I talk to people who have seeds to the point that I talk to the people who are the national distributors for seeds, right? So when I talk about some of the business stuff. And so when everybody else is panicky and calling and putting a rush on toilet paper like we talked about, they did the same thing with seeds. And so now these seed companies are like, we literally won't even take phone orders or stuff off the internet anymore because we just need time to catch up too. And the reality is we're concerned about the health of our family and our friends and are trying to isolate. And so a lot of people have just really been like, we'll get you exactly what you need. Just give us a break. You know, like Amazon in some ways has truly spoiled our perception of how long it takes to get something. Especially when you're dealing with people who work on natural rhythms and cycles. Like, come on. If you needed a worm poop, I gotta wait for the worms to do their jobs first, man. Yeah. So you still have.
If you have seeds.
Depends on what you're asking for. Yes, I do.
You're gonna be a seed wholesaler now.
I don't need to be that. Here's the nice part. I also learn what is staring me in the face, right? So I don't necessarily have to have a garden in a raised bed to realize that there's food and medicine and toys in other areas.
Yeah, I liked one of your videos when you were just showing the weeds and plants in your front yard are edible.
Actually, it was Jeremy's backyard, but yeah, they're totally edible. See, the reality is those are plants. We as human beings are the
You
no,
get worms.
but
Someone says.
you need worms. I actually think everybody should have a small worm bin that they feed their little veggie scraps to, and then they see that little bit of product that's produced, and then they complete the cycle.
I agree. I just started doing it finally, and it's fun. My son loves it, so
Well, and then there's that benefit.
yeah. Some magic seeds and a giant snail. No, the giant snail's bad.
No, dude, the giant snail in Neverending Story was it was straight up the race car snail. I know. I like that snail. He was a cool one. He helped get stuff done. So here's the nice part about it. If you're looking for stereotypical stuff for the garden, then you go to agricultural stores. You don't go to a hardware store. Does that make sense? And so then you would look at places like Farm Supply in our area. You wouldn't go to Home Depot. Now, Home Depot does have a selection, but the purchaser for those seeds are at a national corporate level. So they may or may not grow in our environment. They're not sold for our environment, they're sold for retail, for whatever box store needs a display. And so the easiest way to do it is to grow your own seeds. And the only way to do that is you start with some seeds and you let them become pollinated and then you harvest. And the nice part about that is it just takes time.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have the time, you buy them from other people who do that. And if you do have the time, you enjoy beautiful flowers all year long and then seeds at the end of it. Plus, you'll be shocked on what some plants look like when they go to seed, because your little iceberg lettuce turns into a mean, grumpy thistle and it produces these tiny little seeds, right? But that's because we only see it in one phase.
To the end.
Yeah, our relationship with that plant only exists in this form, not in all these other forms.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm doing my project, so I can show
That relationship?
the beginning to the end, yeah, before it gets on a plate or whatever.
See, and then we take the scraps and we put it in the worm bin, and then we follow the worm castings back to the farm, and then it's the circle of life.
Yeah, which is all about regenerative, like we were talking about.
Well, see, that's what
And
makes
other
it,
things, but yeah,
way to tie it back around, but that's what makes it regenerative, right?
Yeah.
Instead of it being a waste stream where it just ends up in a landfill, there's finally a point where it's like no further use, no further purpose to this, but it's still taking up room, so let's hide it somewhere, right? So instead of that, there's a perpetuation of value. So where it comes from me and then from here it then goes to this, but it changes form possibly, right? And as it changes form, people have their own creative vision of what it could become, like you do with your photographs, right? And then somebody takes that and they apply it to this other medium, and there's a perpetuation of the value versus just like, it's the same philosophy as why I don't kill stuff in the garden, right? It's the philosophy of what can I help grow versus what do I have to go out and kill today?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Completing that.
That's a good way to put it.
Completing that
What?
way. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that
that's a good-
completion of that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good practice because most people want to get rid of what they think is bad, even though it really can't. It isn't bad as long as you know what you're doing or what you're looking at, like you were saying.
Well,
don't know
I
if
think
it's
that right there is a really good place to end the conversation, but also reflect on is that it really is about the shift of perspective that allows you to see something that everyone else could think is as a negative and turn it into an opportunity. Not good or bad, no judgment, but opportunity.
Yeah, that was like our first conversation. We were like totally talking about that.
Well, it was a good conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all tying together.
All right, man.
But yeah, I think that's a good takeaway. Changing our perspective will help us get through this.
Yeah. That and worms.
And worms. Yeah, worms are important. And I'm happy. There's like people stoked about their gardens now. So
What's up?
I don't know.
What's that big
Somebody wrote something. Jeremy got excited. What's it say?
Read it.
I don't.
That philosophy is also good for growing humans. Oh, teaching a child not to kill worm is just as beneficial as a child as it is for the worm.
Huh.
Look at that.
It's true.
I agree. That's why I teach my kids to be rescuers.
Yeah, his kids in the garden is pretty cool.
Anyways, but it's part of it. It's like, if it's a good philosophy, then it applies in more than one area. If it's just a bumper sticker, you just see it drive past you, you don't even think about it again, right? You chuckle when it's in front of you, but you're still just bored because you're waiting there at a light or something. But the reality is if it resonates on more than one level, and then you see 3, 4, pretty much every other aspect of your life, you go, yeah, I can work with that. So
Yeah.
makes it easier.
Yeah, this is a good way to end it.
All right, man. Cool.
Jeremy, do you want to say anything?
I think he should do some live conversations with multiple people, so I'm gonna have him copy you.
What?
I'm having him copy you.
He says that he really liked this, and this was a good opportunity and use of our time, and thank you for promoting this.
Yeah, and you should do it, Jeremy. It's not like you're copying me. You're just doing what it's the same. We're all doing it.
Richard, you are so much better at this than I am, though.
It's
I
true.
don't know about
Maybe
that.
I should just hang out with Richard and forget this guy.
Please.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Jeremy, see you later.
All right, dude. It's
All right.
good seeing you.
Bye-bye.
See you
Thanks,
later.
everybody, for
Thanks,
participating.
everybody, for coming in here.
Yeah.